So now we're going to talk about the operator stool. And this new operator stool has a couple of different features to it than what you're probably used to. So I'm going to review those features and also talk about being seated in a more ergonomic position with that stool. Getting started, the first thing I always like to do is I like to press the backrest or lumbar support out of the way. And what that will allow you to do is that will allow you to be seated properly in the stool to start with. So when I get seated, this left lever over here, I push the seat back out of the way and I scoot as far back in that stool as I feel comfortable. A lot of times doctors will sit in the stool and they'll have this backrest too far forward, and that will force them forward and be a little bit more uncomfortable. The way this stool was designed is we've got a pommel here in the middle which is going to separate your legs to a proper distance and allow you to be seated in a more ergonomic posture with that being said. So the first lever on my right hand over here is the ability to adjust the stool cylinder height. When I bring this stool cylinder and I stand up a little bit, I can bring the stool cylinder higher, or I can sit down to make it a little bit lower. When we're seated in an ergonomic posture, we want to have our hips about 10 degrees higher than our knees. From there, what we want to do is we want to pull this second lever, which is going to tilt our pelvis. If we tilt our pelvis into a more athletic or posture, we're going to be seated more ergonomically. If we sit on a flat seat pan, what that's going to have us tempt the feeling of is to get closer to the patient by leaning more forward, creating more pressure on our lower back. So that lever right there adjusts the ability to tilt our pelvis. This last lever over here on our left side that I already touched on is the ability to adjust this backrest or lumbar support and bring this into the small of our back. From there, to adjust the height of this backrest or lumbar support, we can then press this little lever with our thumb right here, which will allow us to put that in the small of our back. When you are seated in a good ergonomic posture, it's going to help you fight the feeling of sliding forward in that stool. A lot of doctors with operator stools, when they sit in the stool, they tend to scooch forward on that stool, which what that does is creates the feeling of leaning forward, getting closer to that patient. Let's take a second and think about the operator stool that you used to work with versus this new operator stool that you currently have. If you adjust the levers correctly, adjust the lumbar support correctly, you're going to be seated in a more ergonomic posture, which is going to allow you to work longer with less pain.